Hey y'all, I've got some Berdan primes, 303 British brass. I have some boxer primes here too, which is easy enough to reload. But you can see the boxer primer is just a little smaller, and the boxer primer has a hole in the middle so that you can knock the primer out. The Berdan primer has two holes off to the side. We want to convert this to a boxer primer, and what we're going to use is this kit from 22 LR Reloader. To convert this Berdan primed case to a boxer primer so that we can reload it. Now, I'm going to use my standard 303 British Lee's die set, which is right here, right? I'm using my standard resizing and decapping die. Now, on my standard resizing decapping die, I broke the pin off of my inside die. So what I have to use to decap it to actually knock the primer out is this kit, which is, this one is from a 38 Smith & Wesson reloading die. Okay, so I have to use that to knock the actual primer out. But then I'll also have to run them through this to be able to resize the inside of the case mouth. So that goes down there and resizes it. So it'll go through, resize it up, then come to the die, get squeezed out, and then it pulls it back over so it's big enough to accept the bullet. So when we first do it with this, right, and this, it's going to be too small. Then we're going to run it through this. Then we're going to trim it if it needs trimmed, and then we're set to install the primer. So I'll show you how all this works. We're just going to do this one case, but normally all these steps, you know, you would go through a bunch of cases for each step, rather than doing a separate you know, step for each process on one single case. But for showing you how it works, we're just going to do this one case. So let me take you over here and set you up by the press, right here. And I'll move some light over here. So what we have is our standard resizing decapping die, and normally this would have your decapping pin in it. So you remove that decapping pin and you put in this piece that comes with your kit from 22 LR Reloader, and you just screw this in here until it stops turning, like that. It stops right there. Okay, so now we want to put our brass up there, but we want to lube up our brass with some case lube. That's way too much. Let me get some of this put back in. We just need a little tiny bit. That's plenty right there. Alright, you do want to lube this kind of heavier than you normally would, but you know, it doesn't have to have gobs of it. Okay, so we put our case lube on there. We have our shell holder installed already. We put our shell in, and we send this up, and we're going to do a resize. And this isn't going to resize the inside, just the outside dimensions of the case. And we'll do another one, and we'll turn it and do another one. There we go. This case looks like it is messed up on the edge right here. It has a notch. So we are not going to be able to use this case. Let's grab us another case. Let's make sure it looks good. It does. Okay. Let's lube it up. I'm sorry that furnace is running. It's kind of cold out tonight, so I have to let that run in the background. Okay. Now we're ready to stick this case up in there, resize it. Resize it again. And turn it and resize it one more time. Okay, and that's resized, and it's not messed up the mouth of that case. Okay. So now put that up in there. And we put our drill bit right down there that comes with our kit. Now, this will normally be loose. And you're just going to take and adjust that. It comes with an Allen wrench. Right here it is. And we'll go ahead and just show you. You can loosen that, and that allows it to fall straight down. You're going to lift that up about 1/8 of an inch and tighten it. You just want enough to get through the pocket in the bottom of the case, but not to go through the primer, okay? Because you need to knock the primer out with your decapping pin. So now that's up there about 1/8 of an inch. We'll put our drill on. Tighten that down. Well, it didn't. Not. There. Okay. My drill wasn't tight at first. We'll loosen that. Take that off. Take our drill bit out. We'll take this off. Take this out. Take our case out. And you'll see all that came out of that casing. That's where it drilled the bit out. And so now we have that. Now we're ready to install our decapping pin, and I'm using again the 38. You would be able to do this in one step if you hadn't broken yours, you know. And I did order another one, but it's going to be a while before it gets here. So, you know, I just ordered a whole second die. So when I get this set up and done, I'll be able to have one die set up with my decap and one die that I can use for this. But it's gonna be a week or two before that gets here, so we're just gonna move forward. Now we tighten this up, and you want to tighten this up good. This is 3/4 on the bottom, 1/2 inch on the top, and just tighten this up really tight. There we go. Now we're ready to put our brass back in here, and now this is going to knock our primer out. You want to pull this piece out of your press if you're using this, because it'll jam up in there. And there's our primer. It fell out. Our Berdan primer is right there. And we have an unprimed case, and I don't know if you can see through that. See that there's no hole. There is a small hole in there. That hole that I made. Alright, so I drilled a hole in it. So we are set. This has a little bit of a burr on it. So we're going to take and clean that burr out with our little primer deburring tool. And make sure that's good and it has no carbon in it. It's good now. So now we're done with that part. So now what we have to do is resize the inside of this case with this pin. So if you see that only goes down that far, that has to slide clear up around there to make that big enough to hold a bullet, to trim it, all that kind of stuff. If you try to put it in the trimmer now, it won't go all the way in the trimmer, right? So we have to change that out. And like I said, you know, if you don't break your pin, you won't have to go through this extra step. We'll pull this off. And we put this in. Tighten this down. Good and tight. And now we put our brass in, and we're going to run it up over that pin and do a complete resize, pull it back. And now that's made it bigger, okay? So now we want to check our case trim length. Let me move the light more this way so that hopefully you can see. And 2.22 is what we want. smaller than 2.22, and we're at 2.45. So we are too small or too big. So we're going to definitely want to trim our case. Now, you could use the case trimming tool for that. For this one, I bought the cheap one that goes into your thing. If I could get that off, and I can't get it off right now. But this pin and this piece you buy that separately for what size brass you want to trim. And then this trimmer thing here and this piece come with your kit, or you buy them separate. So we take and screw that on there like so. We put our brass in here like so, and we tighten that up good and tight, as good and tight as we can. Okay, then this slides down here like so, and you just turn this until it stops trimming. This has a thing, you can put the drill on these if you're doing a bunch. There we go. Now we trimmed it. Now we're going to take our Lee's trimming tool, or dechamfering tool thing, and dechamfer this real good. And deburr it. And I'll just go through this, dechamfer one more time. That's good. Now we got to loosen that. Take that out. And now we have this. This is our perfectly sized case now. So if we look, this should be like 2.16 or something. Let's see where we are at. 2.2. I think 2.22 is the maximum. Yeah. So we're good. We are at our trim size now. We're actually at 2.217. So that's fine. Now we are ready to set up our primer. Now your large boxer primer won't go in here. It'll just fall out because it's too small to go in there. So 22LR reloader makes these, okay? These are little bushings that you can put in your brass. Oh, come back. All right, and then you put this little bushing in. Now, what I have is this guy right here, which is a large flat aluminum block. I'm gonna put this in here and just kind of get it started. And it's not gonna want to go. So a lot of times what I have to do on these is just take my reaming tool here and put a little bit of a bevel on this guy just to get a little spot for it to start. And then it starts in there like so, right? And then we take our plastic hammer and we just slightly hammer that until she goes in. And you could probably hit it harder than I'm hitting it. I just want to make sure I don't dent the case. Okay. And then let's put our bushing in that hole. So now that will hold our large rifle primer. We'll get one of those out. Right there. That holds our large rifle primer. So now we'll go back over to the press and we'll put that large rifle primer in. So now I'm going to move this press up. I'm going to put my large rifle primer installer thingy bobby in here. Alright. And that comes here. Put our large rifle primer in. Go like that. We put our case in. And we move this down. I usually turn it a little bit and just make sure it's good and seated. And now we have a boxer primer installed in our brass, and we are ready to reload it and shoot it. So I will take and put a line on this. Usually 6 or 7 times is what you're going to get out of these cases. So I just take and make a mark. I'll put a 1 on it, and then the next time I reload it, I'll make sure I put 2s on these, you know, and so on, so that I'll know how many times it's been reloaded. But we're now ready to reload that, put our bullets in. You know, I've got my bullets are here, which these are hot core big game spear loads. They're a soft point bullet. We're ready to put that in. We're ready to go take us a deer down or whatever, you know, or a paper target. And we're ready to reload those. So that's how you can convert your boxer, or convert from your Berdan primers to your boxer primers. Right there, and that's going to be real nice. So I hope that helps some people. There is a quite a bit expensive buying these tools, and the inserts are not cheap. But you can then reload 6 or 7 times based off of that one insert. Now, there is a way to take a piece of 1/4 inch tubing and swedge in and make your own bushing as well. I haven't tried that yet. I'm just using these, and they cost a little bit of money, but you can buy them 100 at a time. This is 33 because it came, they're small and extra large, and they're large. But I'm going to buy 100 of these, you know, at a time or whatever, and I'll be set. And this comes with 2 of the drill bits. There's another drill bit that this comes with. So you have an extra one, and you can buy the drill bits by themselves without buying this part again. So that will help save you some money as well. All right, folks. I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tom, your Frugal Prepper.